They told us there was a right way to live, a safe way, a responsible way. Work hard, save your money, put it into a 401k. And if you do everything right, if you're patient enough, disciplined enough, life will eventually open its doors to you. That promise shaped almost every decision I made. What they never mentioned is that this plan has an expiration date. Not on the money, on you. Because one day you wake up with enough savings, enough security, enough proof that you did everything right, your body may no longer be able to. And when you understand that truth, you don't get to renegotiate the deal. I'm 78 years old. I own my house. No mortgage, no debt. My 401k is exactly where it's supposed to be. Healthy, secure, right on track according to every financial advisor I ever listened to. And parked in my backyard is a large white RV, polished, fully equipped, the one I promised myself I would drive across America someday. It has never gone farther than 100 miles from my home. Everything worked out. At least that's what the numbers say. For most of my life, I did everything the way I was supposed to. I built a career. I climbed steadily. I became a senior manager. I was reliable, predictable, the kind of person companies like to keep around. I didn't cause problems. I didn't take big risks. I didn't ask uncomfortable questions. I rarely took more than 3 days off in a row. Even on vacation, I checked my email. Even at dinner, my mind was somewhere else. I stayed late because that's what successful people do. I came in early because that's how you show loyalty. No one ever had to worry about me. And I took pride in that. I told myself I was being responsible. I told myself I was providing. I told myself I was building something important. But if I'm honest, most days felt the same. Meetings, deadlines, quarterly goals. I kept saying no to things that mattered because I was afraid of losing things that felt safe. I told myself there would be time later. When things slowed down, when everything was more secure, I wasn't chasing happiness, I was chasing stability. And somewhere along the way, without even noticing it, I started confusing the two. 1 week after my retirement party, my body made a decision I had been postponing for decades. I had a mild stroke, nothing dramatic, no collapsing on the floor, no sirens burned into my memory, just a quiet moment where my right hand stopped responding and the room didn't feel steady anymore. I woke up in a hospital bed, listening to doctors speak softly, as if volume alone could change reality. They told me I was lucky, that we caught it early, that I could still live a normal life. Then they explained the limits. No long drives, no extended stress, no big plans. They didn't say it harshly. They didn't have to. That was the moment I understood something cruel. The freedom I had delayed for 40 years had just been taken off the table, quietly, politely, before I ever got the chance to touch it. Lying there, staring at the ceiling with nothing to do but think, I finally understood what I had done to myself. I had been living with something I didn't even know had a name. A deferred life plan. I spent my healthiest years buying security, convinced I would cash it in later. I traded mornings full of energy for evenings full of exhaustion. I traded time for the promise of safety. I told myself this was temporary, that I was being smart, that I was earning my freedom. But there, in that hospital bed, the math finally made sense. I had sold the strongest years of my life to protect the weakest ones. It felt responsible. It felt logical. But looking back, it was a terrible deal. We're taught that safety is the highest goal. A steady paycheck, good benefits, a growing retirement account. We're told that if we just stay disciplined long enough, everything will work out in the end. And I believed that. I really did. No one warned me about the cost. No one talks about how safety slowly turns into a cage, how routine dulls your senses, how fear learns to disguise itself as responsibility. I wasn't miserable. That's what made it dangerous. I was comfortable, predictable, managed. I kept choosing what felt safe over what felt meaningful. I kept telling myself I'd take risks later when the timing was better, when the numbers made sense. What I didn't realize was this: every year I waited, fear got more comfortable making my decisions for me. It didn't shout, it didn't rush me, it just quietly rearranged my life around what I was afraid to lose. And one day, without any dramatic moment, I looked up and realized I had been obedient for so long that I forgot what I actually wanted. The regrets that stay with you aren't loud. They don't arrive all at once. They don't announce themselves as mistakes. They show up quietly years later in ordinary places. I see them every time I open my garage. There's a set of golf clubs leaning against the wall. Their grips are dry, their faces untouched. I bought them nearly 20 years ago. I remember thinking, this will be good for me. I always said I'd start playing once work slowed down. But work never did. I see those regrets in the way my wife used to pause before asking if I could take time off. She already knew the answer. She was just hoping it might be different this time. I still remember canceling a trip to Hawaii. The company was restructuring. It wasn't the right moment. She smiled and said she understood, but her disappointment stayed in the room long after the conversation ended. Some mornings I watch my neighbor leave for work. He's a carpenter. His truck is old. His hands are always rough, but he hums while he walks. He stops to pet his dog. He doesn't look like someone counting down the years. I used to tighten my tie every morning, feel my shoulders tense, and tell myself this was what being responsible felt like. Looking back now, it felt a lot more like disappearing. For a long time, I thought success was something you could measure. Salary, bonuses, the size of your retirement account. I watched those numbers closely. They grew, and I told myself that meant I was doing well. Now, sitting here at 78, those numbers feel strangely quiet. They don't say much anymore. The only account I really think about now is memory. And when I look back, what I see isn't failure, it's absence. Very few stories from my 40s. Almost nothing from my 50s. Just long stretches of time that passed while I was busy making sure everything looked stable. I remember being tired. I remember being busy. But I don't remember much else. No milestones. No moments I want to return to. Just years that stayed intact and somehow slipped through me at the same time. Take a look at your calendar for next week. Not your goals, not your plans for someday, just the actual days in front of you. How much of that time belongs to things you genuinely care about? Not things that feel safe, not things that look responsible. Real joy, real presence, real life. If the answer makes you uncomfortable, don't rush past that feeling. Sit with it and ask yourself honestly, what are you protecting so carefully that you're willing to spend your life waiting to live it? You still have time. Not unlimited time, just enough. Enough to notice what you've been postponing, enough to question what you've been calling responsibility. I won't tell you to quit your job. I won't tell you to take reckless risks. I can only tell you what happens if you keep waiting. You wake up one day with everything in place, the savings, the safety, the plan, and realize the life you were protecting never actually showed up. I sold my soul for a 401k. It felt smart. It felt safe. It was the most expensive mistake of my life. I can't make this choice for you, but I hope you don't end up my age, standing in your backyard, looking at a dream that never moved, wondering why you waited so long to live. If this story stayed with you longer than you expected, you're not alone. This channel is for people like me, people who learn things late and don't want others to make the same quiet mistakes. If you want to hear more stories like this told slowly, honestly, from people near the end looking back, you can subscribe. And if there's something you recognized in yourself, you don't have to explain it. Just sit with it. That's enough.